Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video, I'm going to be giving you an update on some of my Prism lists, just some stuff I've been trying. I've been trying to have fun with the new hero, been testing, air quotes, the new weapon in the open format on Talishar, and really just trying to, have some fun with a new class, something I've been really enjoying. And yeah, so I'll kind of talk about two lists that I've had just to kind of give you a starting point. This isn't meant to say like this is the way to play Prism, not by any means at all. This is just, I know I'm new to the hero and I want to show some things that I've learned, hopefully, because we might get some new people into the game. And if you're interested in this hero, this might be a decent starting point for you to look at. Also, we'll link some other good Prism creators to look at as well as you're going through, learning more about this hero. But if you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully enjoy your stay. Feel free to check out my other content. I've been not posting as much this month. Normally I post almost every day. In December, I've just been kind of taking it easy a little bit. We hit our sub goal, which is amazing. I'm getting some giveaway stuff together, and overall I've just been wanting to kind of relax a little bit. And once the new year hits, I'm really going to start hard. I leave for or not leave, but I have visiting some friends and family this upcoming week for Christmas, but we'll start hitting it hard in January once Heavy Hitters news picks back up and everything else. So if you're not on that, if you're long-standing supporter, thank you so much as always. Feel free to check out the Patreon and the Discord down below. So we have two lists here. I have a V1 list for a hybrid, that's utilizing the new weapon as well as Iris of Reality. And then I have a mono lag is what I'm calling it, Mono-luminaris build with no Iris sideboard that's really just trying to go really hard. When it comes to the baseline purpose of the two decks, the reason you want this Iris sideboard plan is to have more game into heavy popper decks like Bravo and Brute, as well as even have some game or some flexibility in how you want to approach matchups like Uziri, Arachne, even just heroes that have the ability to run a lot of poppers. If Prism becomes very notable, I do think more people will try to jam poppers in their sideboard. You might see like Red Findale's Fighting Spirit to get around Herald of Triumph. Even some of the Uziri lists I'm seeing are starting to run like 15 some poppers, which is not common for those lists, at least from what I've seen. But overall, it kind of depends on how you want to play. I do think that there is a kind of a straight aggro Herald Luminaris build without Iris in the side, but I think if you're going to want the flexibility to have a chance into those heavy popper decks, especially Warrior and Brute, or not, Guardian and Brute, which will be really big in this next set, you might want to run the Iris build. Warrior also might have sixes because it looks like there's going to be some type of hybrid mechanic between attack actions and attack action cards and weapons with the clash mechanics. So we'll have to see on that. It might even be more volatile for Prism. But regardless, this is my Iris switchboard plan. So what doesn't change from the two lists? Well, the main board does not change. No matter what you're doing, you're starting with Heralds and you're siding into Iris. So for the headpiece, I've been mainly messing around with Halo of Illumination, obviously, but also Crown of Providence. Being able to cycle out an arsenal. Sometimes you get stuck with a Figment in arsenal, or even in the Herald game plan, you might get stuck with a blue aura, which doesn't always feel good. Sometimes you might not have the space to get that out like you want to. So Crown of Providence has been very useful, but Halo is just really good. It has so many applications. You could do a whole video just on the Halo application, and honestly, I want to get a little bit better with the hero before I start going that in depth. But Halo obviously is very flexible, allows you to go get a Figment on command when you need it, maybe to block out a high dominated attack or something crazy, or just to put something in Soul in order to be able to do some things with it. So it has a lot of flexibility. The chess piece, our main is Empyrean Rapture. I did try having Tunic in the main board at one point and just not having Rapture in the list at all. But Rapture is just so effective in the aggro matchups. It gives you the space to be able to awaken your Figments for free. And once you have 2-3 Soul lined up, it allows you to go really wide on some really crazy turns. Also, the Ward 1, don't underestimate it. There's times where it's been very useful in-game, like after I've gotten out all my Figments and Rapture's ability really doesn't matter anymore. Being able to have just that one more block can be very beneficial. At the arm piece, this has honestly been the most changed around piece for me. I've been using Iron Rock Gauntlet, Iron Hide Gauntlets, Wave of Reality, and Goliath Gauntlet. all of those have been useful. What I like about Wave of Reality is it just gives you space at the beginning of the game in the aggro matchups. In the Iris matchup, it's very useful. It creates a Spectral Shield when you need it that can potentially be a swing for 4, right? But in the aggro matchups, like against Katsu, for example, there's been times where I went first, they let me go first, and I was able to hit because I attack with, because I have a lot of red heralds, so I'm able to hit that 7 breakpoint into like a 6, which they can't really fully block out unless they're using their equipment. And then on their turn, they Kodachi me. I let Wave pop, and it prevents the Kodachi. Then they Kodachi me again. Then I let the Spectral Shield pop. So I basically nullify their Kodachis on their turn, which is really nice in the Ninja. It helps basically fix 2 breakpoints on their turn 1 if you have to do it that way, which is very nice. It just has a lot of flexibility. And overall, I think Wave has felt the best into a lot of matchups, but you could 100% make a case for like Iron Rock Gauntlet to be able to have like an on-demand breakpoint block when you absolutely need it the most during the game. Iron Hide Gauntlet's very useful because you can pitch a Figment in order to for boots and for Iron Hide Gauntlet, so you essentially get 3 block out of your Figment, which is really nice. And then Iron Goliath Gauntlet is really nice for those Herald of Erudition plays where you're trying to take a lot of tempo or close out a game. So definitely play around with that. Wave of Reality has just felt the best for me. In the sideboard for equipment, just really quickly, Tunic comes in for the Iris matchups, and Iris Reality obviously comes in mainly against, right now for me, against Brute and Guardian, but it's also started to come in against Uziri, and even against Dory, I'll bring it in. I'll bring in the Iris package, and then Null Rune Gloves for most of your Rune Blades, and then Kano. That's where I'm sitting right now in the main board. So I've played around with, the first thing I wanted to talk about really quickly is the red heralds. I have played with anywhere from 6 to 12 red heralds. Right now I'm still testing 12 red heralds. You need that breakpoint. That breakpoint changes so much in the matchup, especially in those aggro matchups. One, it's a little bit more points of damage. It's a little bit hard to block out. There's so many elements to it that really allow you to, push through that opponent that maybe is trying to play that value game on you. And in the mid-range matchups like Dorinthia and Uziri, even, because even though you're on Iris, you will maybe do Iris into like a Herald or something like that. It allows you to hit those nasty breakpoints that makes it a little bit harder for them to block out and get that soul generation going so you can get your Figments. So I'm playing around with it. I think I might end up selling on 9, but 12 has not felt bad. Currently, my ratios, I have 27 yellows and 21 blues, and then I sideboard in 3 blues for Iris. So I'm on 24 blues for Iris, which has felt a little low. I'd like to be up at like 27, 30, but 24 is manageable. 27 yellows is fine. I was trying to stay at 30 or higher in my Herald plans, but honestly, 27 has felt fine because I only need 1 yellow, right? You don't need 2 yellows. You only need 1 yellow to guarantee go again for everything on that turn for the most part, unless they pop. So having the blues has actually felt really nice for those poppers when people have occasional popper, because you're able to pitch into it a lot easier, because you will have those hands where, let's say you have 4 yellows and it's like 2 Herald of Protections and 2 War Tune Heralds, right? You pretty much have to play War Tune Herald first because you have to pay the 1 to gain the action point, and then you can pitch for Herald of Protection. But you will have those awkward turns where you have like 2 Herald of Protections. Basically you don't have a 1 cost in your hand, right? And you don't have an erudition to draw cards. And if they pop it, it can end your turn. Well, having that blue allows you to pay through it and be able to swing still. So having a decent amount of blues in your deck is not a bad thing, right? So that's where I'm at with the red heralds. It could be anywhere from 6 to 12. I do think if you go to as low as 6, you keep in Herald of Triumph Red and War Tune Herald. They're just your 2 best values. But these are definitely up for debate. I think 9 is kind of like the standard safe one. I just have 12 in here because I want to have a little bit more breakpoint action. But as far as the 9 ofs, Herald of Protection, Triumph, and War Tune are probably going to be your biggest ones there, your most beneficial all across the board. Protection being able to give you a Spectral Shield to gain a life on their turn. Not gain a life, but get a life of value is really nice. Triumph to get around those 6 block poppers. It's going to force them to have 7 or above, especially if it's not a Bravo. They basically have to bring in like Red Fandal's Fighting Spirit or like Raging Onslaught or something like that. They can't just pop you with a Command and Conquer or with something like Amnesia or Race Face, so on and so forth. The other Heralds I'll talk about really quickly. Herald Erudition is amazing in this deck, especially if you bait out their armor early. Being able to have this off of even like a Pierce Reality, and just you can set up such crazy turns. This card sets up all the crazy turns because if you hold like 3 or 4 cards in hand, you play a Herald Erudition, they can't block it out, especially when you pair it with like Angelic Wrath. You draw 2 cards, you go get Herald Figment of Erudition, you awaken it for free because of Rapture, attack with Erudition if you have a soul, draw another 2 cards, and then you attack with another Herald, right? So you're doing like these crazy like 13, 14, 15 damage turns, gain out like 2 Figments on the board, gaining life through like your ward prevention, just insane turns. They fuel a lot. Herald Tenacity, this has also been Herald of Ravages, but I like the 5 Dominate. I know it doesn't do a whole lot as much, but it can guarantee a soul hit in the aggro matchups, which in my opinion is very useful. I'd rather have guaranteed soul hit potentially over 1 arcane damage. That's just the way I look at it. It's definitely a flex slot. This could be a lot of different things, but Herald Tenacity has felt pretty good for me. Like you basically have 6 cards in your deck that have Dominate, which can guarantee soul quicker. And if they don't have a popper, this basically, can help guarantee a wide turn. And then finally, Herald of Rebirth. I like having 2 of these in the deck because I can go get Herald Erudition back, right? If they happen to pop it or block it, it's a and it didn't go into Soul, it's a way to get my Herald Eruditions back into my deck from my graveyard, so that's super nice. Finishing up the yellows, we have Soul Shield, just really good, right? Seeing this early, gain a Soul, something in Soul, and then hitting with your first Figment. Now you have 2 Soul, and you can actually awaken and attack with the Figment with its on hit, which is really nice. And then finally, Angelic Wrath. I had these at a 3 of, but a 2 of is really nice. Basically, I want to threaten this. I want to tell them, like, hey, these are in my deck, right? Like, you have to respect them. If you want to block out, like, do you want to overblock by 3? Like, that's really hard to do when I'm hitting you with a, 7-power War Tune. Are you really going to block 10? That basically takes your whole hand, right? So just helps me get over the top against those mid-range decks that are trying to, because against the mid-range decks, it only takes like 2 or 3 soul hits to really snowball. So Angelic Wrath helps put that out. So then we have the Figments. It's the last thing I'll talk about with the yellows. I've gone anywhere from 5 to 7 Figments, just trying like a bunch. 7's too much, I think. I think you get too clunky of hands, especially when you have stuff like Soul Shield and a couple of your blue auras. It really makes it difficult. 6 is doable, although I still ran into some clunky hands. I think 5 is fine. I think your mainstays, the ones that don't leave the deck ever, even when you side, is Erudition, Protection, and Triumph. Those are your 3 best ones, in my opinion. After that, my 2 favorite ones so far have been Ravages. There's so many things you can do with this card, right? The 1 Arcane can help close games. It can really put pressure on your opponent late game. This also has, the cute flip of if they attack your Angel directly to try to get an on-hit like a Katsu. If they attack, your Figment of Protection with Surging Strike and you have something in Soul or you need to pop Halo, you can go get Ravages, basically damage yourself, pop the Figment of Protection, and then it ends their turn because their target that they were targeting is no longer there. So it just like nullifies the attack. You can do that in a pinch when you need to. And then Figment of Rebirth, again, similar thought process as Herald of Rebirth. If they happen to block out my Erudition, or if they block out something like a good 7-power or a good 6-power, it just allows me to fill my deck back up with good threats. So that's where I'm at. And then we have their blues, right? So we have the Protection, Triumph, War Tune, and Ravages. So we have 12 Figment blue or Herald blues, and then we come down to Pierce and Passing, which are pretty standard, right? Even in mono builds, it seems so far, from what I've seen in the Discord. The one thing that's a little bit wonky is the haze bending, right? In the Herald plan, this is nothing more than a blue block 2 pitch, right? It doesn't really do anything, but in order to make the Iris game plan work for me at least and have 24 blues, I had to stick this in the main board because I had to have room to fit everything in. So it's not ideal by any means. You could honestly swap this out if you wanted to and put in like Merciful or Genesis just to try to like make that play happen. But overall, it's not, not that good to have. And the main board is just kind of a necessary evil because of the space. And then we have the inventory. So you have Genesis, Merciful, Ode, and Shimmers. This is our Iris package. These all go in. The matchups will be in here. They're just like starter level, but basically what I do is in the heavy popper matchups, I take out Imperium Rapture and Luminaris for Tunic and Iris, and then I will take out my Angelic Wraths, 2 of them. I take out 1 Figment of Ravages, 1 Figment of Rebirth, 2 Herald of Rebirths, and then my 3 red Herald of Ravages, and I put in my Iris package. So I go in with a 63 card core in order for the Iris. And you could do another whole video on that. But basically, that's what the switchboard plan looks like. It's pretty simple, pretty easy. When it comes to the mono builds, just so you have this, I could go through this more in depth in a video, but it's pretty much the same board. But what I have in the mono build is I have stuff like Illuminate. I think stuff like trying to guarantee soul a little bit more is really nice. And it's a little bit more low to the ground. And basically the big difference in the mono lag build, other than not having Iris is the obvious one, is I want to be a little bit more low to the ground. I want to go a little bit wider, right? Because you're trying like heck, if they do pop you, even with an occasional popper like an Akatsu or something like that, you want to be able to pay 1 into the action point very consistently and then attack with something else, right? So again, with the 4 yellow hands, if you have like a Herald of Protection, or 2 Herald Protections, having like a 1 cost like Phantasmal Symbiosis and War-Tune Herald, or having Illuminate, it allows you to pay that 1 into that footsteps, but also not blank your turn. So that's essentially what I have here. I have a 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 cards in my deck that are 1 cost or less that are also attacks. And then in the sideboard, I'm just trying to, do a little bit different. I'm definitely playing around with this. We have Celestial Reprimand red. Red's like the best thing you can use because for Bravo, it gets around his 8 power and lower defense values, which is a lot for him. It gets around, like anybody that's trying to run cheeky 7 powers, stuff like that. Because yellow Celestial Reprimand only does -2, and against Bravo, that does nothing unless he blocks you with a 6. If he blocks you with an 8, it doesn't change anything. So being able to have the reds is the most consistent because it still has play into Bravo and Brute, specifically getting around like Alpha Rampage and Dread Screamer and stuff like that, all the red cards, but also it has play in the normal stuff. I have red Fiendal's Fighting Spirit for a popper. I feel like it's the most versatile one. It gets around Triumph. It's good in Adromai, obviously. It can gain life if you block with it. Like it has the most benefits for me. We have Merciful Retribution for the Bravo matchup. It's not fun, but I'm trying to guarantee soul somehow. So this going into soul makes it really a little bit better. We have 1 more Figment if we want to go against like Vincent or because when you flip it, it says when this attacks, you may banish a card from your hero's soul. If you do, turn a card in any banish zone face down. So against people like Vincent or anybody that relies on their banish zone a little bit more, against Levia would be really good. So there's that. We still have Tunic in the side. I put this in against Bravo because I want to be able to get stuff like Merciful out that way, and it's just a little bit better value. And then finally, Celestial Resolve is for the Bravo matchup. I'm just trying to stir up the Bravo matchup without having an Iris game plan, so I'm still messing with this one. But these are the 2 lists. Definitely check them out. Again, this is not you should run this. This is more of a here's what I have found after a week. I've played probably about, 30 games with the new Prism list, the new Prism weapon, and it's just casual playing on Talishar. That is it, right? So grain of salt for sure. But if you're a little bit lost on just where to start, try these lists out, tweak them. Let me know what works for you, what doesn't. Be love to hear it from y'all. Definitely a new hero for me, something I've been, having to learn every day on and have fun with. But the list is super fun. Win or loss, the hero's been really fun. It's been really cool to work my brain a different way in Flesh and Blood than I'm used to from other classes I've played. So yeah, definitely let me know what you think. But if you like this type of content, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. If not me, it's totally fine. Go into our Flesh and Blood creator, leave a like, comment, subscribe on their stuff so we can get more people seeing this game. Let me know what you want to see here this month. I'm going to try to get around to doing the Alpha Clash content here soon. Try to give you all a little bit more info on the second set that just came out. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time on TC Talk. Thank you all so much.